There are moments when a soul, long walking in ordinary paths, finds that the ground beneath its feet has begun to shift. It is not that the world has changed, but that the eyes of the soul have opened wider, and what they now perceive cannot easily be forgotten. This is one of the earliest signs that the divine hand is drawing near, though it seldom feels like a blessing at first. Many mistake this ache for depression or failure, but it is in truth a sacred discontent, a kind of homesickness for a country not yet found. With this comes a strange sense of exile. The chosen begin to feel that they no longer entirely belong to the world they inhabit. In conversation, they sense a gulf between themselves and others, as though they speak from a place half a step removed from the familiar. Old friendships may grow quiet, old passions wane. They are not withdrawing out of pride or judgment, but because something beyond has begun calling them inward. The heart whispers of another land, more real, more luminous, toward which they now, however uncertainly, turn their gaze. At the same time, the fabric of the everyday world begins to shimmer with hidden meaning. A sunrise feels like a message. A line in a forgotten book pierces the heart as though it had waited a lifetime to be read. Seemingly small events cluster with uncanny significance. These moments are not to be explained away by mere coincidence. They are the first thin notes of a deeper music, faint but insistent. The soul, though bewildered, begins to listen. Yet the path is not gentle. With heightened perception comes a restlessness, a yearning that no earthly satisfaction can quiet. Comfort becomes a cage, success a hollow crown. The chosen find themselves unable to settle for less than the fullness of their calling, though they do not yet know what that calling is. It is as though they have tasted the salt of a vast ocean, still hidden beyond the hills, and can no longer be content with dry bread and still water. Amidst all this, an unexpected thing occurs. Though fear still lingers, fear of the unknown, fear of change stirs from within. It is not bravado nor arrogance, but a quiet boldness that grows in the cracks of fear like green shoots breaking through stone. Words once left unspoken are voiced, and steps once unthinkable are taken. And though trembling, the soul begins to move forward, not by its own strength, but by a grace it can neither command nor fully understand. If you find yourself amid such signs, know that you are not lost. You are being found. The darkness that surrounds you is not the absence of light, but the shadow cast by its coming. The ache you feel is not failure, but the stretching of the heart to hold more than it has ever known. And the restlessness that stirs is the first wind of a great awakening, whose fullness lies just beyond the horizon. Stand firm. Listen well. The one who stirs such longing within you will not leave the work unfinished. The door will open, and when it does, step through with all the courage the journey has planted in your soul. If you want, I can provide a second version that leans even more mythic, or one that sounds like a sermon in an old stone chapel. Both would match this literary tone. Want to see one of those next? Here is an expanded version in 2 flowing keynotes, about 600 words. Still in that same C.S. Lewis style voice. No direct headings, just a seamless address. There are seasons in a soul's journey when the ordinary world begins to thin, and beneath its surface one senses the weight of something greater pressing through. This is not the pursuit of the soul, but rather the pursuit of the soul by something beyond it. The chosen do not set out to awaken of their own ambition. They are summoned, drawn slowly yet inexorably by an unseen hand. And yet before the full light of awakening breaks upon them, they pass through a peculiar twilight, a series of signs that can bewilder, disquiet, even frighten the unprepared. At first comes a strange weariness of the heart. The world continues its spinning dance, and those around them pursue its pleasures with seemingly untroubled delight. But for the one being called, those pleasures begin to lose their savor. Laughter rings hollow. Accomplishments that once promised fulfillment now feel thin and unsatisfying. It is not the soul turning bitter, but rather awakening to the truth that such things were never the true food for which it hungers. This hunger deepens into a kind of aching exile. The chosen begin to feel as strangers even among those they love, walking among the familiar as though through a dream. There is a growing awareness of a deeper home, one not yet seen, but more real than the walls around them. At the same time, their perception shifts. The veil between the seen and the unseen grows thinner. A line in an old book stirs a sudden wordless grief. A fleeting image in nature, branches swaying against a cold sky, a bird taking flight, speaks to them in a language older than words. Patterns of meaning begin to weave through their days, subtle and persistent. Dreams grow luminous. Small coincidences cluster around them like breadcrumbs upon a hidden path. It is as though the world is attempting to speak to them, urging them towards something they cannot yet name. This brings with it a restlessness that no comfort can quell. The chosen find themselves unable to settle into the rhythms that once contented them. The familiar comforts of home, career, even relationships begin to chafe. There is an unspoken sense that something is missing, not out of dissatisfaction with life, but out of reverence for something greater that is drawing near. This sacred restlessness is a gift, though it rarely feels like one at first. It is the stirring of the soul's deep memory, that it was made for more than ease. It was made to serve a higher call. Amidst this unsettling landscape comes a paradoxical birth of courage. Though the soul still trembles beneath the weight of the unknown, a quiet strength begins to well up within. Actions that once seemed impossible are now undertaken with trembling resolve. Words once guarded are spoken aloud. Steps are taken into new, uncertain places. The chosen begin to sense that they are no longer moving under their own strength, but carried forward by a current deeper than their will. In this strange and luminous season, it is easy to feel adrift, but this is the very proof that the hand of the divine is at work. The disquiet is not the mark of failure, but of preparation. The exile is not abandonment, but invitation. The restlessness is not punishment, but the birth pangs of a greater calling. So if you find yourself among those who walk through this twilight, take heart. You are not alone. You are not lost. You are being made ready. For though the way is veiled and the signs obscure, the one who called you into this journey will not leave you without a guide. The door ahead is real, and when it opens, you will know that every ache, every exile, every trembling step was not wasted, but woven perfectly into the path that leads you home. If you'd like, I can also offer a third keynote to complete it as a fuller lecture. A closing paragraph you could use to end with greater weight. A version that leans more mythic if you want even more epic resonance. Would you like me to write any of those? Here is an expanded version in 3 flowing keynotes, about 600 words total, in that same C. Lewis-style voice. Again, no headings, just a seamless address. There comes a point in the life of every soul marked for awakening, when a subtle shift begins to trouble the foundations of the familiar. It is not often loud, not accompanied by visions or voices from the sky. Rather, it is a quiet unsettling, like the tremor of leaves before a wind not yet felt. Those who walk this path are often surprised by it. They had not sought a grand spiritual ascent. Many were content with the world as it was. Yet something deeper within them has been stirred, as though a distant bell has begun to toll, a bell they cannot unhear. At first, this stirring manifests as a growing dissatisfaction with things once enjoyed. Books they loved now seem hollow. Conversations drift without substance. Success, comfort, even moments of happiness do not root deeply. There is an ache beneath the surface, unexplainable, persistent. Often the soul mistakes this ache for failure or imagines some hidden flaw within itself. But this longing is no flaw, it is the soul has tasted something higher, even if only faintly, and now it cannot return fully to the life it once knew. This yearning deepens into a strange sense of exile. The chosen begin to feel like strangers in their own homes, pilgrims passing through a world that no longer seems to fit them. Relationships shift, some drift apart without bitterness, as though the current of life is drawing each person into different streams. The chosen may try to cling to the familiar, but even this is quietly stripped away, leaving them alone with the deeper question, who am I now, and where is this path leading? It is here that the first seeds of humility take root, for the soul realizes that it cannot chart its course alone. In the midst of this disorientation, a curious thing happens. The world begins to speak in a new tongue. A child's laugh, a falling leaf, an unexpected phrase from an old song, these small things suddenly shimmer with meaning. The chosen find themselves caught in moments of awe for which they have no rational account. Patterns emerge in the fabric of daily life, subtle yet undeniable, as though an unseen storyteller is weaving their days with care. The heart begins to understand that reality is deeper and more enchanted than it once believed. And yet, the restlessness grows. The chosen cannot settle back into their former life. Comfort tastes of dust. Ambition feels hollow. There is an urge to seek, but for what they do not know. This sacred unrest is a sign of preparation. Just as a bird instinctively knows when to migrate, so the soul senses that it is being drawn towards something vast and unknown. But the way is not revealed all at once. It must be walked in faith, one uncertain step at a time. Fear, of course, walks beside them. Fear of change, fear of loss, fear of unworthiness. But here lies one of the greatest signs of the divine hand. Amidst this fear, courage begins to bloom. It is not loud or boastful, it is a quiet resolve, like a candle that refuses to be extinguished by the wind. The chosen find themselves speaking truths they once buried, standing firm where they once wavered. Though they feel their weakness keenly, they also feel carried by a strength not their own. If you find yourself in such a place, take heart. The journey of awakening is not one you chose, but one that chose you. The signs of exile, of longing, of courage in the midst of trembling, these are not marks of failure, but of calling. Though the path ahead may be veiled, know this, you are being prepared for a purpose far beyond what you yet understand. Walk forward with open hands. The one who calls you will not leave you unmade. If you want, I can also provide a fourth keynote, to make it a full-length sermon, an ending benediction to close your speech with poetic weight. Would you like me to? Here is an expanded version in 4 flowing keynotes, approximately 600 words total, written in the same contemplative, C.S. Lewis-like tone, seamless and without headings. There are seasons when a soul begins to feel that it is no longer at home in the world as it once knew it. The familiar patterns of life, work and rest, conversation and solitude, still unfold around it, yet something within has shifted. An ache grows beneath the surface, an unspoken sense that something is missing or about to begin. This is not a flaw or a failing. It is the first quiet summons of the deeper life, for which the soul was made. The chosen rarely recognize this call for what it is at first. They may believe they are restless, weary, or discontented with their circumstances. But beneath these surface impressions lies a deeper truth. They are being prepared for awakening. At first, this preparation can feel like loss. Joys that once sufficed now ring hollow. Conversations that once delighted begin to feel thin and fleeting. There may come a strange sorrow that has no clear cause, a grief for something not yet known or understood. The chosen often try to fill this emptiness with the familiar comforts of the past, but these attempts falter. The soul has been stirred by something greater and will not be satisfied with less. This sorrow is a hidden mercy, for it loosens the heart's grip on lesser things in preparation for what is to come. As this process deepens, the chosen often feel a growing sense of estrangement from their own lives. It is as though they have awoken in a story whose shape they no longer fully recognize. Old ambitions seem pale, old attachments tenuous. They may feel isolated, even among friends, unable to express what stirs within them. Yet this isolation is not abandonment. It is the clearing of space within the soul, making room for the new life that is soon to take root. The chosen are being called out of the shallows into the deep. Though the deep is dark and unknown, it is also where the richest treasures lie. In this twilight season, the world itself begins to speak in new ways. The chosen find that small, ordinary things carry a strange weight of meaning. A line of poetry wounds them sweetly. A stranger's kindness stirs unexpected gratitude. Patterns of coincidence arise with curious frequency, as though some unseen hand is stitching moments together into a hidden tapestry. The heart begins to suspect that behind the veil of the ordinary, something vast and purposeful is unfolding. This awareness is not mere imagination. It is the soul's growing sensitivity to the divine presence that has always been near, now drawing closer. Yet even as wonder increases, so too does restlessness. The chosen find that they can no longer return to the life they once lived. The pull of the familiar weakens, an unspoken call urges them forward, though the path remains veiled. This is a sacred restlessness, the birth pangs of vocation. The soul is being prepared to serve in ways it does not yet comprehend. In the midst of this, fear often arises, fear of change, of loss, of unworthiness. But alongside fear comes an unexpected courage. The chosen find themselves speaking truths they once kept hidden, taking steps they once feared to take. This courage does not come from their own strength. If you find yourself in such a place, arching for more, restless in the life that once satisfied, drawn forward by a call you cannot name, do not despair. You are not losing your way. You are being called into it. The signs of exile and longing are marks of the soul's readiness. Walk forward with trust. The one who awakens the longing will also guide its fulfillment. If you'd like, I can also provide a version with a strong closing flourish to end your talk memorably, or a version designed to read aloud with pacing. Want to see one of those? Here is your expanded version in 5 flowing keynotes, about 600 words total, written in the same C.C. Lewis-like tone. Seamless and without headings. There are moments, often unbidden and unannounced, when a soul becomes aware that it is being drawn into a deeper life. The signs of this drawing are subtle and easily mistaken for ordinary discontent or restlessness. But for those who pause and listen closely, they soon perceive that this is no ordinary stirring. And though it often begins in confusion and longing, it is the first step on a path shaped by unseen hands. In the early stages, This awakening manifests as a growing dissatisfaction with what once seemed sufficient. The rhythms of daily life lose their charm. Pleasures that once delighted now leave a hollow echo. The soul aches for something it cannot name. This ache is not a flaw, nor should it be dismissed as mere weariness or ennui. It is the first whisper of the deeper calling. The chosen do not hunger because they are lacking. They hunger because they are being prepared to be filled with something greater. This longing is the seed of awakening, planted by a love that knows no rest. As the longing deepens, it often gives rise to a strange sense of exile. The chosen find themselves no longer fully at home in the world around them. The places and people that once provided comfort now seem to exist at a slight distance. This is not a rejection of the world, nor of those within it. Rather, it is a sign that the soul is being drawn toward its true home, a country glimpsed only in fleeting moments of clarity and beauty. The chosen walk as pilgrims through a land they can no longer fully claim, carrying within them the quiet ache of homesickness for a place they have not yet seen. In the midst of this exile, the world itself begins to shimmer with deeper meaning. The chosen become attuned to signs and symbols woven into the fabric of daily life. A line of poetry speaks with unexpected power. A chance encounter carries a weight far beyond its surface. Dreams grow vivid, and the heart senses that unseen realities are drawing near. These experiences are not products of imagination or wishful thinking. They are glimpses through the thin places in the world, moments when the veil between the seen and unseen grows translucent. The chosen are being taught to listen with the heart, to see with eyes beyond the physical. Yet even as wonder deepens, so too does a holy restlessness. The chosen find that they can no longer linger in the familiar or cling to comfort. There is an urgency in the soul, a call to move forward even when the way is unclear. This restlessness is the birth of vocation. The chosen sense that they are being prepared for a work beyond themselves, though its nature remains hidden. They may resist this call, fearing the cost, but even in resistance, the pull grows stronger, until the soul can no longer remain unchanged. Amidst this restlessness, fear often arises, fear of what may be lost, of the unknown path ahead. But in the very heart of this fear, courage begins to awaken. It is not the absence of trembling, but the choice to move forward in its midst. Words long held in silence find voice. Steps long feared are taken. And the chosen discover that they are not moving in their own strength, but upheld by a grace that has quietly been at work all along. If you find yourself in such a place, know this: you are not wandering, you are being led. The longing, the exile, the wonder, the restlessness, and even the trembling courage, all these are signs that the hand of the divine is upon you. The door of awakening stands before you, and when it opens, you will step through not alone, but guided by the one who called you to the threshold.